Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Audio Fanfics and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto was forgotten by his family, and found a new path with Hinata, Ino, Tenten&Temari, Part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. It was shocking to say the least. The second part of the exams ended in a way that shouldn't ever be talked about again. After the Forest of Death, the Hokage stated that there would be preliminary rounds. Those from Konoha who had survived the second round were Izumi, Satoru, and I. All of Team 7 was there, as were all the other rookies. It started with Izumi versus a random Kumo, Cloud, Shinobi. Izumi won easily. The second round was Sai versus another random Kumo ninja. I think his name was Rosario. Anyways, Sai won. The third round happened to be Sasuke versus the chakra-sucking Yoroi. Sasuke was acting different though. He seemed more at ease with himself and kept calm at all times, allowing him to win. Shino versus an Odo, sound, nin by the name of Zaku wasn't interesting as Shino's bugs surrounded him quickly. Shikamaru went up against Kin, another sound ninja who put up a better fight, but Shikamaru wasn't a genius for nothing and ended up winning. Tenten went up against Temari of the Sand and lost rather brutally. Gaara of the Sand almost killed Lee, puncturing his leg and putting him in the hospital. If it weren't for Maida Guy, Lee wouldn't be alive now. Ino versus Sakura ended in a draw, as both didn't have enough skill to compete. Natsumi and Mito went up against each other. It was interesting. It was more of a verbal fight but ended up in a deadly match. Natsumi pulled through with a well-timed Rasengan and almost put Mito in the hospital. My fight with Neji was interesting as he talked for the majority of it, going on about cages, bird seals and hating the main branch. Since I was faster I put him out quick without showing any new moves. Other than that it wasn't anything spectacular. The last battle on the other hand was Menma versus Hinata. Flashback. Menma eyed his opponent with annoyance. She didn't even look him in the eye or say anything, and if she did it was barely audible since she spoke in stutters. Weak. He looked up in the stands and saw his older brother looking pretty unamused and bored. Menma scoffed and glared at his opponent harder, making the girl shrink even lower. He clenched his fists in anger and waited for the match he called. Menma Namikaze versus Hinata Hyuga begin. Smack. Hinata was sent flying back from a swift punch from Menma as he scoffed once again. Come on girl, I don't have all day. Hinata stood up on shaky legs and activated her Byakugan and charged forward. Menma however blocked every strike and kick she sent and he was getting angrier and angrier. A smooth spinning kick sent her flying back and he waited for her to get up. The spectators were looking at him with disdain while some in fear. Hinata looked at Naruto and her face changed to a new expression he hasn't seen before. She seems to have a connection to Naruto, that's it. The perfect plan. He smiled evilly, putting Hinata on guard. Doyy your W West were S Street. Menma smirked again and bent his finger back, making a sickening crack. I plan on it. He charged at her at speeds that surprised even the Hokage and delivered a heavy blow on her stomach. She coughed up blood, but he wasn't done. He sent another spinning kick her way, and although she tried to dodge, he adjusted his body so he could send another kick that sent her flying. He didn't let up as he rushed her with a kunai and slashed at her until he finally delivered a kunai uppercut across her body. The only sound in the room was a body hitting the floor. Hinata, Kurenai, Kiba, Shino, the Hokage and several Junin and Anbu appeared on the scene. A few medical ninja came down and checked her over. She had a long slash going up from her upper chest right down the center of her face. Blood kept pushing out as the medical ninja wrapped her. The stadium was in silence as the shock and fear increased. Menma turned around and faced his older brother as he looked back. Neither said a word, but the shock and surprise was easy to read on his older brother's face and told him what he needed to know. She's dead. Flashback end. Naruto POV. It wasn't pretty seeing the devastated faces of her teammates as they went to the hospital trying to save her. She had died quickly, as soon as she hit the floor. Menma was announced the winner as there wasn't a rule on killing. There was no punishment or anything. The Hyuga clan tried to demand a response from the Hokage, but the answer was always the same. His hands were tied, he honestly couldn't do anything. It's how the exams have been since the village was founded. You knew what you were signing up for when you entered. After the fiasco, the second part ended putting the winners in the finals. Shikamaru vs. Temari. Dosu vs. Gaara. Shino vs. Konkuro. Naruto vs. Menma. Natsumi vs. Izumi. Sai vs. Sasuke. They then gave us a 2-month training period before the start of the finals. It wasn't looking good. Normal POV. Naruto, what you going to do? Shut up, Satoru. Naruto said harshly as he smacked his teammates across the head for what seemed like the 100th time. He has a point though, Naruto. Izumi said. Menma killed Hinata in cold blood. As your teammates and friends, we are worried about you and want to know what's happening. Our blonde sighed as his eyes flashed for a moment but returned to normal a second later. It doesn't matter, I'll beat him anyway and show him killing Hinata was pointless. Satoru clenched his fists in anger and glared at the blonde. That's not the point, Naruto. He yelled, making Izumi eyes widen and Naruto to stare with a blank expression. He's killed one of our friends. A fellow Konoha shinobi in cold blood. Your brother is messed up and you won't do anything about it. Stop being and do something about it. He screamed, tears leaking down his face as he exited the apartment door. Satoru, wait. Izumi said, but the only sound was the door slamming. She looked at Naruto and his expression never changed as he eyed her. Sorry, Naruto. You know how he always felt about him. Just go after him, Izumi. She gave him an apologetic smile and raced out the door. Naruto held his blank expression for a few moments until a deep voice spoke. Your friend is right, you know. Naruto sighed once again and leaned back on his couch. I know he is. I just need to figure out the right time. Naruto responded. The Kyuubi only laid his head on his paws and relaxed in his seal. There is no right time, Kit. You already know what has to happen. I already told you the Profi. I know, Kurama. Naruto interrupted in a surly tone. The giant fox chuckled and responded. Fan of cutting people off today, aren't we? Shut it, Fox. All I'm saying is you know what you have to do. I have no power in here. Between two lost souls. True peace prevails. See. What did I tell you? You do like cutting people off. I'm done with this conversation, Kurama. Naruto cut the link with the demon and looked up at the ceiling. He looked down and grabbed the locket around his neck and held it tight. His other hand hovered over his gold and brown scroll and he closed his eyes. He felt the power of the scroll and used a basic sealing technique to seal the scroll in his locket. I will make this a better place for you, Haim. And that's a promise. As our village leader, you need to see reason. Hiashi Hyuga yelled to the Hokage with his Byakugan flaring widely. Your son killed my daughter. Another clan heir, might I add. And you plan on doing nothing. Hiashi looked around the room to the other clan heads and the civilian council. Minato closed his eyes as he responded to the angry Hyuga head. I apologize severely, but my hands are tied, Hiashi. This was allowed and has been allowed in the Chunin exams since the creation of the village. As Su. Bullshit, Hokage-sama. He said sarcastically as he glared at the Hokage. Hiashi. Inoichi said. Not that I disagree with you. He looked at the Hokage, but in a political point of view the Hokage can't do anything for the Hyuga clan. But, he said, getting the attention of the others, since the son of a Hokage is seemingly unstable. You dare call my son a flight risk? Minato jumped from his seat and glared at the Yamanaka clan head, leaking killer intent as a bead of sweat fell down his face. No, Hokage-sama. Shikaku now entering the conversation, but Hokage's son or not, he killed a fellow Konoha shinobi, and to add fuel to the fire, she was a clan heir. He finished as Minato clenched his fists. I have an idea, Hokage-sama. The council looked over and Danzo kept eye contact with Minato. What do you have in mind, Danzo-sama? A civilian member said, and Danzo spoke. It is true that Minato can't do anything on this matter. But as our Hokage he might not be able to do anything politically, but we the village are able to respond. Shuza raised an eyebrow. Like how, Danzo? It's easy to see that Minato cares more for his own child than the village. Minato glared at the bandaged man. Are you questioning my duties as Hokage and a father? He said harshly, and Danzo kept up his blank stare. I would never question you, Hokage-sama, he said as he closed his eyes and leaned back on his chair. I was just stating facts. Minato looked around the room and the people were looking at him for answers. He noticed the looks of disappointment from his friends and mixture of fear and anger from the Anbu and civilian council. He didn't know this would happen after he accepted the Hokage position. He needed to talk to Menma. Furthermore, Danzo continued, since the relationship between Minato and his 4 children is strained at best, he said, and Minato flinched a bit from the statement. An action that all noticed. I'm sure most of you have witnessed or heard of the 2 Namikaze princesses' very public argument a while back now. Minato was surprised when 90% of the room nodded. What argument? An argument stating that Menma and Naruto have a very bad relationship. Minato flinched once again. Now that I think about it, all your children don't get along very well. Which means that you must not have a good relationship with them. Minato was clenching his fists so hard that specks of blood was starting to spill. What's your point, Danzo? The blonde Hokage said as his hair was shadowing his eyes as killer intent was leaking out. Danzo kept his eyes closed but managed a small smirk. My idea is rather simple. We can't have a Hokage that wouldn't put his all for the village. I say we repeal Namikaze Minato as Yondaime Hokage. The council got silent. Then outrage and agreements were yelled out. Minato stood silent as he watched his own shinobi, the clan heads and the civilian council yell and scream to get him out of this position or to keep him in. The village elders stayed silent and didn't say a word as they watched the council members argue. He had no words to describe what was happening. Possibly getting repealed, the prophecy and Jiraiya leaning on his shoulders. And now his youngest child had killed a clan heir in cold blood. Quiet. The council looked at their Hokage as he yelled his order. You will not tell me how to run my village. I am the Hokage. Furthermore, I will take of the death of Hinata Hyuga and speak to Menma Namikaze myself without any interruptions. No need to speak before thinking or jumping to conclusion here. Minato finished, his eyes hard as steel but a different emotion on the inside. Hiashi glared at the man. And what do you plan on doing with my clan now, Hokage-sama? He sneered, and Minato put his gaze on the elder Hyuga. I will take full blame on this situation for what my son has done and give 25% of the Chunin exams funds over to the clan. He finished as Hiashi looked shocked for a moment but composed himself soon after. Dismissed. Minato yelled as he flashed out of the room, and the people flooded out, some angry, and some more confused than anything, with Danzo's words echoing in their heads. Danzo didn't move from his seat as he saw all the people starting to leave. Fools. He thought to himself as he himself stood up and exited the room. With Minato. Minato flashed into his bedroom. He looked around and his wife wasn't there. He sat on his bed and put his face in his hands. How did it end up like this? This wasn't supposed to happen. What wasn't? Minato looked towards the sound and saw his wife looking at him with a weird expression. Minato tried his best to smile but couldn't manage. Just the Hokage position is stressful, that's all, honey. Kushina gave a curt nod and walked over and sat next to him. She played with the hem of her dress as she spoke softly. Is it true? About what Menma did? Minato looked down, not being able to look at his wife, and gave a nod. Hi, Minato. The redhead said, trying to hold herself together but failing miserably. We have to take action at what our son did. She said through tears, and Minato never looked at her once. Hi. Kushina stood from her seat at the bed and wiped her eyes and walked towards the door. She looked back at her husband and a few more tears escaped. If you won't do anything about Menma-kun, then I will. She said quietly as she exited the room. Minato never looked up as a single tear fell from his eye. Hi. With Mito. Mito was walking down the streets as she watched the passers-by. Some were looking at her with pity while some in fear. She didn't like the looks and she was feeling very small from all the stares she was getting. But she understood why. With what her crazy brother did, it was bad to be seen near any Namikaze since. She looked down at the ground as she walked, and a few seconds later she jumped into someone. They both fell to the ground. I'm so sorry, I didn't see where IW Natsumi. The now dubbed Natsumi looked at her sister in surprise for a moment, but it went away quick. Hey Mito. A silence appeared and Mito walked past Natsumi without a word, and Natsumi scowled. Mito. She sneered and Mito stopped in her tracks and turned her head to look at her sister. What, Natsumi? Another silence appeared as Mito waited for her sister to speak. What do you think Tu-san will do about Menma-ni? Mito scowled at her sister. You imply that Tu-san will actually do anything about the situation. Natsumi glared at Mito. What does that mean, Mito? Two-san barely does anything when it involves Menma. It's his precious child, the new clan heir and a holder of some of the Kyuubi's power. What do you think a Hokage would do right now? Mito asked and Natsumi sneered. Two-san would do anything for the village and you know he would. Just because you think Naruto is in the right doesn't mean you can disrespect the other family members. Mito glared at her sister and took a step forward. What does Naruto have anything to do with this? And I'm not disrespecting shit, I'm just saying what has happened for years. And what you think Menma was in the right for killing Hinata? Natsumi returned the glare. Of course he wasn't, Mito. She scowled and walked past her, being their shoulders together. Nice job losing in the exams, by the way. She said with a smirk, and Mito glared harder and turned away and walked away. The two sisters walked their separate ways as they left the onlookers to stand in silence. With Menma, blood squirted out as he killed another victim. A kunai flew through the air as it embedded itself in someone's throat. A faint clapping was heard. Good job, Menma-kun, your skills are getting sharper every day. Menma looked over at the sound of the voice, his face blank. Danzo-sama, thank you. He said as Danzo walked to him. Your father might talk to you in a day's notice. Remember what I've told you to do. Menma nodded and Danzo smirked. Go to your room. There will be more training in 20 minutes. Menma nodded again. Hi Danzo-sama. Menma left the room and Danzo ordered for more root agents. Menma's face was blank, but on the inside he was pissed. Stupid old man. Thinking he has me under his control. He entered his room and pulled a box from under his bed. He opened it, revealing 4 black rods with ceiling arrays painted in red going along the base. He smirked evilly. Your time will reach an end, Namikaze Naruto. In due time. I forfeit. The crowd as well as a dusty blonde went silent as those words echoed through the stadium. What? The dusty blonde screamed as the jutsu that was binding her movements was finally released. The one in question put his hand behind his head and sighed, troublesome. I don't have enough chakra to continue and it would be pointless to go any further. Troublesome. You think of over 200 possible outcomes and you end up leaving anyway. What a waste of energy. He turned around, as the crowd and the blonde were still silent. The proctor came down as a sweat drop formed. Winner Temari of the sand. Shikamaru Nara, you lazy. How dare you forfeit? The now dubbed Nara looked over at his blonde teammate Ino and gave another sigh. Troublesome. He spoke as he made his way up the stands. Temari made her way out of the arena as the crowd cheered for the Sand Shinobi. Up in the stands, the Hokage, who was flanked by his Anbu guards, gave a pleased but tired smile. Just like a Nara. He said, and a deep chuckle emitted from the seat next to him. Yes. It's not surprising seeing a Nara just give up like that. The Raikage of Kumo spoke with a deep voice. The Kazekage from Suna looked over to the Raikage. Please tell me if I am out of line. But out of curiosity, Raikage-sama. The Kazekage said, as the Raikage looked his way. If I recall, none of Kumo's ninja have made it to the finals. The Raikage gave a laugh. I do know that, Kazekage-sama. I'm also here to see how far Konoha and Suna have improved over the years. The Kazekage have a nod, but on the inside he was pissed. Damn it, I wasn't expecting the Raikage to be here. If only I can get him on our side in the invasion of Konoha. Internally he was laughing. Soon I will destroy the Leaf and the man who took my position as Yondaime Hokage. The second match of the Chunin exams will finally begin. The proctor yelled and the audience cheered. Will Gaara and Dosu please come to the arena? Gaara appeared in a sand shunshin as he waited for his opponent. 5 minutes passed but Dosu still didn't show up. The proctor finally had enough and raised his hand. Dosu has yet to show up and will be disqualified. The crowd started to boo Gaara as the winner by disqualification. Gaara went back to his seat angrily and the crowd was irritated. Third match of exams will begin. Will Naruto Namikaze and Menma Namikaze please come down? Within seconds Naruto and Menma appeared on the arena. Naruto with a standard leaf shunshin as Menma used a special fire technique to appear. The crowd cheered, excited to see the two genin go at it, completely unaware of the growing tension in the arena. The match between Naruto Namikaze and Menma Namikaze will now begin. The proctor leapt away, leaving the two siblings alone. Neither the two siblings moved as they stared off at one another. Menma gave a small grin as he eyed his brother. He charged at low Junin speeds and sent a punch at his brother. The crowd was surprised by his speed and only the Junin and some Shunin could keep up with it. Naruto shifted his head to the right, dodging the attack as he sensed another coming and ducked down. He looked around and saw Kick aiming to sweep his legs from under him. He planted his hands on the ground and propelled himself up, allowing Naruto to send a spin kick at his brother, sending Menma flying back. Menma hit the wall with a loud bang, making him fall to the floor, leaving the crowd speechless. The display of speed and power were way beyond what genin were supposed to do, and it was exciting to them. The Namikaze family started to sweat as their sons, brothers fight, hoping the worst wouldn't happen. Menma picked himself off the ground and laughed loudly. Ha 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 ha, I knew this was going to be good. Now time for the real battle. Suddenly feathers started falling from the sky and the civilians and genin started falling to the ground asleep as a genjutsu fell on the whole arena. An explosion went off near the Hokage stand as the senseis went to wake their students. The Anbu went to support their village leader. Odo and Suna shinobi appeared throughout the arena and began attacking all the present Konoha shinobi. Menma just smirked at his brother and leapt out of the arena. Naruto scowled as he jumped after him. He noticed his mother and sisters fighting off enemy shinobi and his teammates running to him. Naruto, what's happening? Naruto never answered as he raced after his brother, leaving his teammates behind. Naruto chased his brother until he found Menma on top on the Hokage monument. Menma had his back to his, overlooking the village. There were explosions as shinobi of all kind dropped to the floor lifeless. Beautiful, isn't it? Menma said, turning his head to his brother as our blonde hero looked down at the carnage beneath him. Soon all the worthless shinobi will be dead, leaving only the strong and the lucky alive. Menma said with a giddy smile as he turned to his brother with a dark smile. Of course the lucky one's luck will always come to an end. Menma has to dodge a punch sent his way from his brother as Menma jumped back. Menma smirked. Kase Ka, activate. Suddenly a large purple energy engulfed the forest as purple energy shot into the air, making a large barrier around the monument and the two genin. Naruto narrowed his eyes at his giddy brother. What is this? A barrier, which means no one will be able to get in. Or out. He smirked evilly as he flared his chakra. I told you. Now the real battle begins. He yelled as he charged. With Minato. Kage-sama, what is the meaning of this? Minato yelled at the sand leader and the Raikage jumped down near the Hokage. The Kage laughed as he reached down his face and revealed himself to be Orochimaru. Minato and the Raikage widened their eyes as Orochimaru laughed. Kukuku Minato, we meet again. Suddenly a loud explosion went off and all the cage-level shinobi looked towards the sound and saw a huge purple barrier appear from the top of the monument, and Orochimaru's eyes lit up. It seems little Menma and Naruto have met on top of the monument. Minato whipped his head over to the snake Sannin and narrowed his eyes. What do you mean by that, Orochimaru? Kukukuku Minato, you will find out soon enough. Then again another barrier, this time a red one shot from the ground, trapping the two cages as well as the Sannin. Now we're trapped here, Minato-sama, Raikage-sama. Raikage-sama, come to my side and we can destroy the leaf together. You can get all the bloodlines you want. And finally be called the strongest of the hidden villages. He yelled and the Raikage shook his head. I will never join the likes of you, Orochimaru. I will stick by the Hokage and fight. The Hokage gave the Raikage an appreciative nod and they both turned to the Sannin. The snake shook his head but kept his grin up. What a fool, Raikage-sama. Nonetheless, I just will kill you both. He slammed his hands on the ground. Edo Tensai. Two coffins shot up from the ground, one being labeled 1, and the other 2. Orochimaru smirked. Kukuku, say hello to your destroyers. Suddenly a kunai flew towards the coffin as a yellow and blue blur poofed out of existence as the coffins fell to the ground destroyed. Orochimaru widened his eyes as he looked up to see a blank face Hokage and the Raikage with lighting surging out of his body. Don't underestimate us. Another kunai flew to the Sannin and in a yellow flash appeared the Hokage and sent a slash. The Sannin bent backwards, avoiding the attack as a blue blur sped his way, hitting the Sannin in the stomach, sending him flying back. The Sannin maneuver in the air, flipped in the air and landed in a crouch position. Damn it, this isn't good. The Sannin though, as he dodged another kunai and bent down to the ground and slithered away from the Raikage's attack. I was hoping for the Raikage to join me. And they destroyed my plan without an issue. Wind style. Great breakthrough. Orochimaru spat out a huge gust of wind towards the two cages who had to dodge out of the way. Hokage-sama have any plans? The Raikage yelled as he dodged a fireball sent his way by Orochimaru. Minato threw his kunai and went through hand seals, kunai cage bunshin no jutsu. The one kunai duplicated as they spread across the whole field, to make sure this snake doesn't get away. He flashed away. Orochimaru scowled as he saw the kunai and used another great breakthrough to wipe them away. He felt a kunai slice his left arm and turned to throw a punch but only met a yellow flash as another kunai cut his right arm. A palm pushed him back as he was sent flying. The Raikage who was waiting sent a punch to the Sannin head. He connected but was met with log of wood in its place. A kawarimi. The Raikage muttered and both cages heard laughter and turned to the sound. Kukuku, I won't be that easy to kill. His mouth opened up wide as a pair of arms emerged and Orochimaru came out unscathed and looking as good as new. Kukuku, try killing me, no. He was cut off as he coughed up blood as he looked down and saw a kunai plunged in his chest. I'm tired of your shit, Orochimaru, the Hokage said as Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. How did he know I was vulnerable in the 2 seconds after it was over? He used what chakra he had and performed another kawarimi and changed with another log. Minato glared at the Sannin as said Sannin was holding his chest as blood was leaking from his wound. No way it ends here. I trained for so long. I deserve this. Orochimaru yelled internally as he felt a punch collide with his skull courtesy of the Raikage and was once again sent flying. Once again a yellow flash appeared and kicked the Sannin into the air. No, I can't move. What's happening to me? Minato threw a kunai up to the Sannin and appeared over him and sent a drop kick at the Sannin. As the Sannin hit the ground, Minato was already there forming his signature jutsu in his palm. Why? Orochimaru yelled in his mind. The blood loss was starting to get to him as his vision started to blur and all he saw was blue and yellow. Damn it all. Rasengan. Minato plunged the blue orb into the back of the Sannin and the only sound was a scream and the sound of flesh and bones breaking. As soon as the jutsu finished, Minato threw another kunai next to the Raikage and appeared next to the burly man. The barrier soon fell afterwards and Anbu rushed in and looked at the Hokage and Raikage as well as the corpse of the Sannin. Anbu, take his body and show it to the remaining sand and sound ninja. As soon as they see the corpse they will retreat not long after. The Anbu nodded while they took the corpse and caused away. Only the 2 cages were left in the clearing as the Hokage started panting and fell to his knees. The Raikage bent down near the cage. Hokage-sama. I'm fine, no need to worry. Minato said. As he stood up with shaky legs. I used up a lot of chakra since I used a faster version of the Hiraishin and I coated my kunai with a new chakra-laced poison. He said, making the Raikage nod. I see. So the poison was sucking up your chakra since the beginning of the fight. The Raikage said and Minato gave a curt nod. Now let's go help the village with the rest of the shinobi. The Raikage said and Minato nodded once more as they left to the village. Meanwhile in the village. Die. Sand pillars exploded from the ground piercing several leaf shinobi through the stomach and necks. Sand style. Avalanche. A giant wave of sand flew from the ground covering several shinobi and started to climb a building. A blue blur raced by. Ice style. Mirror wall. A giant wall made of ice surrounded the shinobi and stopped the sand in its place. Lighting style. Static shock. Lighting was sent at the creator of the sand jutsu but a wall of sand protected him from the attack. The creator of the lighting jutsu landed next to the person who made the ice wall. Izumi. Gaara is weak against close range if you can get past his apparently ultimate defense. He relies on more ranged type jutsus. The now dubbed Izumi nodded and was still crouched. I figured that out, Satoru. Just keep him distracted. On it. Izumi turned to all the leaf shinobi behind her. Leave, we will take care of Gaara. Go and help civilians and the other shinobi. The ninja were about to speak up until another voice spoke. No, she's right. We leave and finish evacuating the civilians. The voice was the leader of the team Yamato. The shinobi nodded and vanished. Yamato loomed over to Izumi and gave a nod. Stay safe, Izumi, and make sure Satoru doesn't do something dumb. Izumi nodded and turned her back to Yamato. Don't worry, Yamato-sensei. We will take care of Gaara. Yamato nodded and vanished, leaving the 3 shinobi alone on the streets of Konoha. She watched her teammate blur past waves of sand. They made eye contact for a second and nodded. He dodged another wave of sand and Izumi rushed forward. Gaara felt another presence to his left and saw an ice shard coming to his arm. A wall of sand blocked the ice shards as a lighting pulse was sent into the sand, shocking Gaara. Izumi planted her feet on the sand and flipped back and flew through hand seals. Water style. Depths of the abyss. She inhaled and sent out a torrent of water at the redhead. His sand automatically flew up, but to his surprise the sand became soggy and soon fell to the ground. Wah. Lighting style. Vision pulse. Satoru flew past him, slamming his hand into the ground, allowing the lightning to electrify the water and electrocuting Gaara. Gaara screamed from the first time being hit, and after the attack he fell on his knees. The demon in him, Shukaku, started taking over half his face, and Izumi yelled, "Satoru now!" On it. Satoru jumped back and starts flying through hand seals. Thunder style. Dragon thunderstorm. 5 lighting dragons appeared behind him and they flew at Gaara at high speeds. His sand tried to protect him, but because of the water the sand was now mud and didn't come up. The dragons hit him head on and he coughed up blood. Izumi appeared behind him and kicked him down to the ground. Suppression seal. She yelled, placing a seal on Gaara's stomach, making the redhead fall unconscious. Satoru walked over to his female teammate, panting as they eyed their downed enemy. "You never told me where you got the seal," he said tiredly. "I've been studying sealing for a while now in my spare time. After Naruto told us that Gaara was a demon container as well, I wanted to make this kind of seal in case something like that happened." Satoru nodded at her and fell backwards on his back. "Aw man, I'm tired," he said. Izumi gave a small smile and kicked him slightly, making him wince. "Get up. We need to take Gaara into T&I." Satoru got up slowly and watched as Izumi walked away. "Where you going?" Izumi responded without turning around. "Waiting for you to pick him up." Satoru sighed and bent down and picked up the unconscious redhead. "Damn, he's heavier than I thought," he muttered and quickly caught up to his teammate. Once he caught up, they jumped on the roofs and headed towards the other shinobi. They handed the body to a Junin. He congratulated the two and jumped away to give the body to Ibiki. They noticed the giant purple barrier above the Hokage monument and raised an eyebrow. Satoru was about to ask, until he felt dizzy and fell to his knees once again. Izumi bent down next to him and asked what was wrong. "Just chakra exhaustion, Izumi. This was my first time using thunder style," he muttered as he fell asleep right there, and Izumi shook her head and handed him to one of the medics nearby. "I hope you'll be okay, Satoru. And I hope you're okay, Naruto." In another part of the village, Natsumi was sent flying back as a bone smashed into her stomach. The attacker rushed again. He crouched down to dodge a swift kick to the head sent by a red head. The red head landed on the ground and attempted a sweep kick, however the attacker jumped back in a series of backflips. "Mito, go away, damn it. I don't need your help." The now dubbed Mito scowled and looked at her sister. She looked to her right and saw her mother, and several other Junin fighting sand and sound shinobi as bodies kept falling to the ground. "Whatever, Natsumi. This is a strong sound ninja and apparently he has a bloodline limit that is supposed to be extinct," Mito said, making Natsumi scowl but get up and stand by her sister. The attacker crossed his arms, making 2 giant bones form from his hands as he eyed the 2 girls, Mito Namikaze and Natsumi Namikaze. "Prepare to die," he yelled as he rushed at the sisters. They both jumped to opposite directions. The attacker went to Natsumi's direction and sent a powerful slash. Natsumi pulled out a kunai, stopping the bone sword, and sent a kick at the attacker's gut. The foot connected but barely phased the man's onslaught as he sent another slash with his sword. Natsumi jumped back and started hand seals, fire style, fireball jutsu. She sent a large fireball at the attacker. Bone style, bone shield. A wall of bones rose from the ground, blocking the fireball as a swift kick from behind sent him flying through his shield. Natsumi once again went by her sister's side. "What now? He barely seems hurt by these attacks," Natsumi said, and Mito nodded. "I'm not sure. Keep doing what we've been doing." The attacker stood up as with a bone sticking out from his side. He pulled the bone out, showing its razor-sharp tip, and pointed it at the two. "The name is Kimimaro. This will be the last name you hear." The now dubbed Kimimaro rushed at the girl, sticking Mito in the stomach, sending her back as Natsumi dodged a slash from the bone sword. "Natsumi, enter first state," Mito yelled from the ground. As Natsumi kicked Kimimaro in the head, sending him back, and gave her a sister a bewildered look. "But we never mastered it," Natsumi yelled back. "Better than nothing." Mito said back, and Natsumi nodded reluctantly and closed her eyes, as did Mito. Red bubbling chakra started pouring out of their bodies as each gained a fox tail and their features become sharper. The power of the chakra sent waves of killer intent across the village, making some ninja on edge. Somewhere else in the village, Minato and Kushina both stiff still as they felt the power. Oh no. Natsumi loomed at her sister, making sure she didn't lose control. When she looked back, she gave a nod and they looked at their opponent. Mito reached their opponent first at now faster speeds, sending a barrage of punches and kicks. Kimimaro had a tougher time dodging these since she was now much faster and stronger. Natsumi appeared behind him, sending a powerful punch to his side, making a satisfying crunch noise as he was sent flying. Natsumi didn't let up though, and she sent another kick to his side. Kimimaro, suspecting this, slashed with his bone sword, making a cut from her leg to her thigh. Natsumi bit her lip in pain as the red chakra started to heal the wound. Mito sped up even fast still, and as Kimimaro was about to send another blow on Natsumi, Mito sent kunai and shuriken at him, making him stop his attack and jump away. He scowled. He had never faced opponents who had given him such trouble before. He put his hands in a ram seal and sent out a huge chakra pulse. Mito landed by her sister and helped her up. What's he doing? Natsumi asked in a much deeper voice than before, and Mito shook her head. I don't know, but be ready to move. Mito said, and Kimimaro let out a deep hollow chuckle. I've never had opponents before give me such a hard time, but it ends here. Bone playground. Hundreds of razor-sharp bones emerged from the ground, making the two sisters jump back. The bones, however, didn't stop appearing, and the sisters were only escaping thanks to the Kyuubi chakra cloaks. A giant bone came from the ground, hitting Natsumi in the back, sending a vertical slash across her back. Blood flew from her back and she fell from the ground. Natsumi! Mito yelled as she dodged another bone spike. As Natsumi was lying on her stomach, the Kyuubi chakra was leaving her body and was only focusing on her wound on her back as she was seething from the pain. Kimimaro stopped his jutsu and ran at Natsumi, kicking her in the side, making her scream as she skidded across the floor until she lay panting on her back. Die! He yelled as he jumped in the air, forming another bone sword, and went to stab Natsumi. The only sound that was heard was a sword cutting through flesh. Blood fell onto Natsumi's face as she looked up in shock. Mito! She whispered, and her sister gave off a small smile. Natsumi. Natsumi, forgetting about her own pain, got up and grabbed her sister by the shoulder. Mito, why did you do that? Natsumi yelled, tears falling freely down her face. The bone sword was plunged deep into Mito's chest, only inches away from her heart. Her chakra cloak vanished and she was coughing up blood. IIJJ just couldn't let yude. Mito muttered as she let out a scream as the bone was ripped from her stomach, making blood pour out of her body. She fell to the ground with a thud as Natsumi went by her side. Mito, Mito. Natsumi yelled as she watched her sister give off another small smile. I just kind of moved on impulse. Mito said as she continued, even after all our fights, you're still my sister that I love. Mito said with a smile, making Natsumi's eyes go glossy. Natsumi was about to answer until she saw Mito's eyes close. No, Mito. She yelled, grabbing her by the shoulders, as blood and tears escaped from her own body. Kimimaro watched the scene unfold in slight confusion. He was told that they hated each other. But now one sacrificed her life for the other. A huge chakra pulse exploded of Natsumi and he whipped his head, seeing her now red chakra cloak was darker and now held two tails. Natsumi glared at the man as her two tails swung behind her, making Kimimaro a little nervous from the amount of killer intent sent his way. I'll kill you. Natsumi yelled as she rushed the man, and Kimimaro, surprised by the speed boost, barely dodged the punch but was sent back by an uppercut. A second later, a bluish-red orb connected to his back. Rasengan. The orb sent Kimimaro flying as he impacted with a building. He barely picked himself up as another kick was met with his head. He fell to the ground unconscious. Natsumi landed by her sister, her chakra cloak vanishing as she fell face first into the ground, tears still falling from her face. I didn't want this, she muttered as she now passed out from exhaustion. With Naruto. Naruto dodged a punch, then a kick, another punch and a kick. Menma went in for a sweep kick, which connected with Naruto's legs, making him fall. Menma pulled out a kunai ready to kill him. Naruto performed a quick kawarimi, making Menma stab wood. Menma looked up, seeing his brother standing unhurt from the other side of the clearing. What do you gain from this Menma? Naruto asked, and Menma glared as he pulled out another kunai. To show what power is capable of doing. Look around, Naruto. He said, gesturing his arms to look at the carnage below. We are shinobi. We kill, we pillage, would do anything for our own selfish reasons. He answered as he flared his chakra once again and flew through hand seals, and to show our family what a weak son of a bitch you really are. Fire style. The devil's comet. He opened his palms and stuck them in the ground as he looked up and inhaled deeply. Not long after that he exhaled, sending out a large-sized burning comet to the blonde. Naruto, seeing the attack, rushed to his right as it chased after him. He jumped back, avoiding the small blast radiance it held, until another one came up behind him as Menma yelled in glee, I'm not holding back, Aniki, and I would hope you would do the same. Naruto scowled as he punched the ground. Ruby art. Dimension wall. A red ruby wall blocked the comet's attack. Naruto, seeing it worked, planted his feet on the wall. He crouched down and leapt off, flying towards his brother. Menma showed his surprise but managed to duck down, send an elbow to Naruto's gut. He connected, but the Naruto shattered into crystal shards as he sensed a kick from above. He jumped back, avoiding the kick as another was sent. His was from another clone. Naruto's foot connected, sending Menma across, hitting a tree. Crystal art. Daggers. Naruto sent a barrage of crystal daggers at Menma. Menma pulled out a kunai, blocking the daggers coming his way as he scowled and jumped back once again and flew through hand seals. Fire style. Fox fire. 4 small foxes made of fire jumped at Naruto. He ducked the first, which hit a tree, however the others weren't far behind. Crystal art. House of cards. Crystal cards formed around Naruto, blocking the rest of the foxes. Menma, seeing another wall, became frustrated. Damn it. Fire style. Dragon rush. He yelled, forming a large dragon form the air and rushed it at his target. Naruto was pouring more chakra into his wall as he reached around his neck. Kai. Me muttered, making a familiar hold and brown scroll appear. He opened the scroll, making his mace weapon come out as he held onto it. He looked at his wall start to melt and he jumped back and rushed at Menma. Menma looked to his left, seeing his brother come at him with a new weapon, and ducked down. Menma pulled out a kunai, sending it at the blonde, who tilted his head slightly to dodge it as Menma back flipped away. The clearing fell silent, as the only sound was the crystal structure slowly melting. Menma looked down, chuckling, but it soon evolved into full-blown laughter. Naruto eyed his brother, not letting his guard down for a second as Menma laughed. Menma wiped an imaginary tear away as he smirked evilly at his Aniki. You know, for a while now, I really wanted to kill you. Menma said as he started walking circles around his brother. I wanted to hear you scream as I sent a kunai into your heart. Wanted to see the crimson-colored liquid leave your body. Menma said, still circling his brother. Naruto's eyes never left Menma as her circles him. And what about Hinata? Naruto asked, and Menma laughed again, sending a sadistic smile. Isn't it simple? She cared for you, Naruto. And your little teammate had a little crush on her now, didn't he? Menma, seeing Naruto stay quiet, continued. I wanted to test you, Naruto. See if you had an emotional attachment to this girl, seeing as she had one for you. Also, he said, looking at the blonde with a crazed expression. It's been a while since I last killed anyone. Fire style. Inferno flames. The ground cracked as fire exploded from the ground, sending shock waves down the monument as cracks formed. Trees started catching fire as it spread down the forest. Naruto was quickly doing hand seals as he watched the fire burn the wildlife and nature. Crystal art. Dimension prism wall. Giant pink crystals blocked the fire's path as shards started forming under Menma's feet. Menma sprinted away from the attack, forming hand seals along the way. Fire style. Rose of the dragon. A giant rose-like structure made of fire shot itself at Naruto as he struck his mace into the ground. Crystal art. House of cards. He yelled the familiar jutsu. It blocked the fire. As it ended, he started sending the cards at his opponent. Menma dodged the cards as one flew past him and cut his cheek. He felt the blood run down his cheek as he smiled with glee. Fire art. Rose of the underworld. Fire shot from the ground as it circled around Naruto. Naruto stuck his mace into the ground again. Crystal art. Encasement. He yelled as the mace extended around his body, blocking him from the heat. The fire subsided as Naruto ended his jutsu as his mace shattered from the insane heat. Fire art. Black fire of the underworld. Black fire expelled from Menma's mouth as it raced off at the blonde. Naruto, seeing the attack, used a simple kawarimi and replaced with a log. Menma, spotting this, ended his attack and sent a quick sweep kick behind him, connecting with Naruto as it shattered into shards. Emerald Art. Dragon Rush. A giant green dragon formed behind him as it rushed Menma at impressive speeds. Menma jumped back and inhaled. Fire Art. Dragon's Encasement. Black fire expelled from the ground, meeting the dragon as they exploded from the impact. Menma was sent flying from the explosion as Naruto appeared behind him. Diamond Art. Stardust Chains. Chains flew from Naruto's shirt as they circled Menma and sent him to the floor. Menma smirked on his way down. Red chakra formed around his body as 3 red tails swung behind him. He broke out of the chains and sent a swift kick to Naruto, sending him flying. Think you can stop me now, Aniki? The Naruto on the floor shattered into shards, and once again Menma looked around searching for his brother. Come on out, Aniki. Stop being the coward you were and fight me. Menma yelled as Naruto hid on the trees holding his sides. When Menma entered the Kyuubi state, some chakra hit him on the side, leaving a horizontal slash across his hip. Come on, Aniki. Menma yelled again. What does it take for you to give a shit about anything? Menma screamed as Naruto listened behind a tree. All you have done is run. You ran from the family, you ran from your problems, and you're running away now. What does it take for you to stay and fight? The death of a fellow Konoha shinobi did nothing to you. Your so-called father and mother have tried to reach out to you, and what did you do? You ran. Menma yelled, punching a tree as the bark exploded off. Naruto sat behind a tree listening and closed his eyes, clutching his necklace in his hand. And that's why I want you dead. To show To-san and Ka-san that you were worthless. But even after all this time, they still insist on getting you back in the family. They need to see reason and see how far gone you are. He yelled to the sky as he performed a fireball, sending it into the forest. You know, Ka-san actually came up to me a few days ago to talk to me about the death of Hinata. Menma said as Naruto clenched his fists and listened on. She scolded me, yelled at me, even slapped me, for heaven's sake. She cried in front of me, uncaring for who saw her. Because in her son, her baby boy who killed a fellow Konoha shinobi in cold blood. She looked at me with a mixture of fear and worry. But deep down, all I saw was a broken mess of a woman who doesn't know what to do anymore, a husband who doesn't give her the time of day anymore, 2 daughters who hate each other, a son who killed a fellow shinobi. But worst of all, a son who despises them, hates them. How does it feel, Naruto? To know that because of you, this family fell apart. Menma was sent flying back as a punch connected with the side of his face. Menma looked up and saw his brother standing there with his arm extended and his hair shadowing his eyes. Shut up, Menma. Naruto growled out as Menma gave a smirk. Is that what it takes? For you to hear the truth? He was cut off as another punch connected with his gut. Naruto grabbed his head and smashed his knee into his face. He sent another kick as Menma flew back again. I said shut up, Menma. Naruto said again as Menma laughed out loud. Menma rocketed himself at his brother as they entered a taijutsu match. They were moving at cage-level speeds as the battle continued. They both sent a punch as both fists connected to the other's face and were sent flying. Naruto recovered first. Diamond Art. Stardust Chains. More chains flew from his coat and sped towards Menma. One chain connected with his foot and embedded itself in his foot. Naruto ended the jutsu, making the chains fall to the ground as he reached in his pouch and pulled out Seal. Suppression Seal. Naruto smacked the seal on Menma's stomach and Naruto froze in place as the red chakra entered back into Menma. Menma was panting as he felt the power leave him and blood dripping down his fingers. Naruto coughed up blood as he looked down and saw a kunai plunged in his chest inches away from his heart. Menma watched the blood drip on his fingers, as he lay, sprawled on the ground with Naruto hovering above him. I told you, I will kill, you. Menma said as he looked at his brother's blood. Naruto looked at Menma as blood fell from his mouth. How did you end up like this, Menma? Naruto asked weakly and Menma gave a dead chuckle. We're all different, Naruto. People expect that since I'm the son of a cage that I have the same views as my father and or mother. I don't. They expect the children to be just like their parents, full of passion for protecting the village. Fools, really. Menma said as he looked at Naruto breathing heavily and looked down to see they were on the Yondaime Hokage's head on the monument. Naruto looked up and saw the sound and sand ninja retreating, as they were being captured or killed. He glanced to his left and saw the damage he and Menma done. The forest was still on fire as shards of glass and flames were scattered along the ground. His chains were still there as Naruto closed his eyes. Menma noticed the action but didn't worry. He knew Naruto was going to die. Menma started speaking again. Now Tu-san and Ka-san will see what I have done. I stopped their suffering from continuing any longer. No. Time to die. Menma widened his eyes as Naruto spoke and Naruto flared his chakra as he grabbed Menma's wrists and pinned him to the ground. Menma saw a familiar chain rise from the ground and fly at them. Menma started to struggle but with the suppression seal already on him made his chakra unstable as he couldn't focus it. Naruto closed his eyes as the chain came closer to its target. Between two lost souls. The chain entered Naruto's flesh cutting his oxygen supply as his locket fell to the ground. The chain didn't stop as it plunged through Menma's neck pinning him to the ground. As they both fell, lifeless. True peace will prevail. In Tea Country, a young girl felt a shiver run down her spine, as she stood frozen in place. She grabbed the locket around her neck and held it tight. What's wrong, Kotomi? Said girl looked up at her caretaker with tears threatening to spill. I just have a very bad feeling. Do you think Tu-san is okay? The now dubbed Kotomi said as her caretaker bent down and rubbed her head affectionately. I bet, your Tu-san is strong for his age. He wouldn't do anything that would make you sad. After all. She said standing up and giving a smile to the young girl. You are his little Heim, aren't you? The wind blew through the hidden leaf village making the coat of a certain Sanin flap as he eyed the terrain. He was looking at his old student with pity, but of course would never admit it. He took a few steps forward as his feet brushed against the grass making a sound noise. The Sanin stood next to his student as said student never looked his way. Minato, how are you? I haven't seen you on what, 5 months? Minato nodded never looking at the Sanin. Hi Jiraiya sensei. Been a long time. Jiraiya sighed. He was told what has happened by the council during the Chunin exams and he wanted to see how his student was. I ran into Natsumi on my way here. Jiraiya said looking at Minato for any sort of reaction. She seems to be taking her career rather seriously these days. Of course. After what happened anyone would take their training seriously. Jiraiya seeing the conversation going downhill already sighed. I'm sorry. For what sensei? Telling you about the prophecy. If I never said anything none of this would have happened in the first place. Minato never looked at his sensei as he continued to look straight ahead. It doesn't matter sensei. What's done is done. Minato said as Jiraiya sighed again. I haven't seen Kushina around, where is she? I would like to give my condolences. She got a job at the academy. Jiraiya raised an eyebrow at the answer. I didn't know she got a job. Minato nodded. Hi. After she signed the divorce papers she moved out soon afterward. Not long after she was accepted as a teacher. Jiraiya put his hand on Minato's shoulder giving a small squeeze and started talking again. I have some news. Jiraiya spoke. It seems the Akatsuki has broken up. You shouldn't be telling me this Jiraiya sensei. I stepped down as Hokage 5 months ago. I'm telling you this because I trust you Minato. It involves your family. Barley. Anyway Minato. It seems they disbanded though a civil war in the ranks. My informant said the leader was killed as were most members. All members soon left making the organization now dead. Also it seems that the current Tsuchikage of Iwa was assassinated. My informant told me he was killed by one of their own. Apparently a new cage is to be chosen within the next month. Minato finally showed surprise at the information. Have you informed Hokage-sama about this information? Jiraiya felt awkward hearing Minato call someone else Hokage but continued. Not yet. I wanted to talk to first seeing as I haven't seen you on a while. Minato nodded as he brushed his hand against the stone he was standing in front of. Where did I go wrong sensei? Minato whispered making Jiraiya look at his student with pity. Don't beat yourself over it Mina. It was all my fault. Minato snapped at Jiraiya making the Sanin recoil. I never tried to be a father. Look what happened sensei. I thought I was doing the right thing with following the prophecy and it turned out we were wrong anyway. Minato yelled making as he fell to his knees staring at the stone ahead of him. I'm broken, sensei. I've been broken since the day I found out about the prophecy. It hasn't been good to me, sensei. I left my wife. My own children hate me. I stepped down as Hokage. Silence faced the two as Minato spoke once again. Natsumi told me what happened to Mito. How Mito actually jumped in front of a sword to save her. She even told me what she thought of Naruto and Menma. She didn't leave out a thing. Minato got back on his feet and turned toward the pitiful eyes of the Sannin. Do you know how hard it was? Seeing my crying wife come up to me with our dead daughter in her hands. Then not even 20 minutes later, we find both our sons dead on the floor. I've never seen anyone cry so much than Natsumi and Kushina did that day. Seeing that chain going throughout Naruto's chest, then later pricing through Menma's. The floor was stained Jiraiya. The blood of my two sons stained the Hokage monument as they passes away. The whole area seemed so fake at the time. When we got there, the flames were as strong as ever. The earth was scorched as shards of crystals were scattered everywhere. It was truly a battle of cage-level strength that I had no idea that they possessed. Minato looked up towards the monument as it was now closed off, forbidding anyone of entering. I just wish I was able to save them all. Jiraiya stayed silent as the ex-Hokage explained the details of that day, and he was shocked. He didn't know how they died, and it was truly a shock. What of the Hyuga clan? Jiraiya asked. Hiashi is training Hanabi to become the new clan head. It seems something has changed in the man as he broke apart the barrier separating the two beaches and bringing them together. Jiraiya nodded as an Anub flashed into the clearing, giving the Sannin a now. Greetings, Jiraiya-sama. Fox, our mission is about to start. Minato nodded, putting on his Fox Anub mask and turned around so his back was facing the Sannin. Take care, Jiraiya-sensei. He vanished soon after as Jiraiya sighed and turned to look at the stone as it read. Naruto Namikaze. Mito Namikaze. Menma Namikaze. Proud shinobi of Konoha no Sato. May they rest in peace for falling so young. Jiraiya felt a presence appear next to him and he gave a small grin. Hokage-sama, how do you do? The Hokage sighed and waved his hand. Ma pass, call me by my name. And why are you here anyway? The Hokage asked and Jiraiya nodded. Of course, Kakashi. I came here to talk to my student to see how he was faring. Not too well. Kakashi nodded. Hi, it seems things have gotten progressively worse since the exams. Don't tell Minato-sensei this. Kakashi said, making Jiraiya raise an eyebrow in question. We found one of Danzo's root bases. We also found Danzo himself dead inside along with all his members. Jiraiya's eyes widened in shock. How did he die? I can't so for sure. The medics say his heart gave out. But his chakra was burnt away and they think that led to heart failure. Jiraiya nodded. And why can't I tell Minato this? It's not that. We searched his root base and found out some interesting information. It seems Menma was asked to join Root by Danzo himself. He pulled out a folder labeled classified and handed it to the Sannin. Read it. Jiraiya nodded as he opened the folder and read. It seems my plan to get Menma Namikaze onto my program worked flawlessly. With his obsession to kill his brother Naruto Namikaze, he joined without a problem. He is improving quick, faster than I have ever seen a shinobi grow. It seems his power is coming from deep inside, but I cannot be sure yet. Since the final exams are coming up soon, I have informed him of the new sand and sound invasion that is going to occur. He took it upon himself to make barrier seals. To kill his brother Naruto. He thought I never knew about them, but I know more than he thinks. I will. Why is it cut off? Jiraiya asked and Kakashi shrugged. That's how we found it, Jiraiya-sama. But it seems Menma has went too far into his hatred and wanted to end Naruto's life. Reason unknown, but we're trying to figure it out. Jiraiya nodded once more and handed the folder back to Kakashi. Kakashi informed him that Maria Uchiha happened to be Sasuke's sister, as she has taken the spot as clan head. Jiraiya, already knowing this, nodded and turned to leave. Until Kakashi stopped him. Jiraiya-sama, have a mission for you. Jiraiya raised an eyebrow and was handed to folders. Since the exams ended, we have had to have our shinobi go rogue, he said as Jiraiya opened the folders and raised an eyebrow. Aren't these Naruto's teammates? Kakashi nodded. Hi. They went missing not soon after the death of Naruto and Menma. I want you to find out their whereabouts. Jiraiya nodded and walked away from the clearing. Kakashi sighed, wishing he never took this job as he pulled out a familiar locket and opined it up. Whoever this little girl is, she seems to have a strong connection with Naruto. Katomi Mayuba, I don't know where you are, but maybe you can help this village more than anyone could imagine. He put the locket back in his pouch as he turned his back to the stone and walked away, leaving the cemetery behind as the wind blew the grass and trees, leaving Kakashi to ponder and question. Hard to believe it ended like this. But why did it end like this?